Welcome on in to Second and Short. My name is Tyler Louder. He is Aaron Ben, and we are back again to bring you guys another new edition. And this time we're going to switch on over to the AFC. But before we do that, be sure if you guys are missing episodes that we got here, we just talked about Teddy Bridgewater. You know, it was a great episode. If you guys want to see that video, click the icon at the top right here and see why we think Teddy Bridgewater is going to have a huge impact for the Carolina Panthers. Aaron, how you doing today?
I'm doing most excellent. It's a great morning. Just had my coffee and I'm ready to go.
And for me, it is an extremely late night. And that's like breaking the fourth wall there because they don't know exactly where we are.
Yeah, we could have just said any time and they would have had to believe us.
Maybe we're lying about time. Maybe time it's not even real, man.
What if we aren't real? No, I'm just kidding.
No, we're real. And not only are we real, but the man we're talking about is very real. This is, for the Baltimore Ravens, they got, in our opinion, one of the best free agency trades out there. Like they fleeced the Jaguars. So let's talk about him. Let's talk about Calais Campbell. Let's start with his background. He was drafted out of the University of Miami in the second round in 2008 for the Arizona Cardinals. He didn't start a single game his rookie year, but the Cardinals went to the Super Bowl, and he almost got that ring. And you know what? Maybe that's just a thing right there. Maybe what this Arizona Cardinals team needed is to get past that hump and win that Super Bowl is what the Ravens are going to get here, and that's Calais Campbell. And this is a great defensive tackle. This is a guy that hasn't missed a game since 2014. And, you know, he ended up transitioning from Arizona over to Jacksonville in 2017.
Yeah, and since he came to Jacksonville, came to the AFC South, I mean, I think the other three teams, myself as a Titans fan, we hated that move because he's just been a destructive force there. The 2017 season was when they had that really, really strong defense. They were second overall that year, led the league in 55 sacks. That's when they came up with the whole Saxonville nickname.
Yeah,
made the AFC Championship game, lost to the Patriots. He continued to be a force there in Jacksonville until this year when he was traded. So far in his career, he's been a 5-time Pro Bowl selection. First team All-Pro 2017, second team All-Pro in 2014, 2016. He was named to the 2010s All-Decade team. This past year, he was the Walter Payton he won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. And he holds Jaguars franchise records for most sacks in one game. That's 4. And most sacks in the season with 14.5 sacks in 2017.
which is crazy because I understand the formation of a 3-4, and he can play the defensive end in a 3-4 versus a defensive tackle in a 4-3, but he's still not an elite type of edge rusher that you would think of. You know, he's not one of those guys that's built like Khalil Mack or Von Miller. He's a hefty dude. He fills gaps. Dave Gettleman in New York would call him a hog molly. The fact that he's able to constantly get pressure year in and year out, despite being as old as he is, it's impressive.
Yeah, and I mean that's not a position that usually gets that amount of sacks in a season. So that's pretty crazy. He's a crazy good player.
Yeah, and I mean the player that everybody talks about, I mean, it's always Aaron Donald at the defensive tackle position. That's it. It's Aaron Donald, and every couple of years there's somebody else. A couple years ago, K'Wan Short and Geno Atkins also had double-digit sacks, but it's not a consistent thing. And Campbell's ability to play all three spots on the defensive line and to be able to be a very, very good run defender, it's hard not to call him an elite pass rusher as well. But before we dive into who more, if he is the player and his fit, talk about this trade. March 2020. You know, everybody, here's the mood. You know, we're all sitting on our couches. You know, we're probably around a nice little fireplace or a nice good TV show's on, and we're having our nice drink, and all of a sudden, the Jacksonville Jaguars decide to just send him away for a 5th round pick. to the Baltimore Ravens.
It was surprising. I mean, the Ravens, who already have a crazy good defense, traded a 5th-round pick in the 2020 draft. And remember, that 5th-round pick was a pick they had gotten from the Vikings when they had traded them Kaare Vedvik, that backup kicker. So basically, they got Calais Campbell, an All-Pro, for a backup kicker. Then he immediately signed a 1-year extension as soon as he was traded. So he's under contract through the end of the 2021 season. And this trade was seen mostly as a salary cap management situation on the side of the Jaguars. People were saying, how could you only get a 5th-round pick in return? But the Jags are kind of in a salary cap bind, so they were trying to recover some of that cap space. So that was kind of what they were trying to do. Campbell is scheduled to make $10 million this year and then $15 million next year. And just as kind of a side note, that 5th-round pick was used by Jacksonville to select Daniel Thomas, who was a safety from Auburn.
I mean, the 5th round is such a dime a dozen type situation. If Daniel Thomas hits, then good for them. But realistically for the Ravens, like, I loved that whole, like, let's break down where this pick came from, how they got this. They essentially sent away a kicker that was never going to see the field for their team because they have the best kicker in the league in Justin Tucker. So essentially what the Ravens did is the Ravens said, I'm going to eat my lunch that my mom packed me. And for some reason, she gave me a bag of broccoli, and I don't want that. And then they look at the rich kid across them, and he's got like this awesome like brownie in front of him. And the guy's like, hey, I'll give you this broccoli for that brownie. And the guy's like, no. Why would I do that? This is a brownie. And the first kid's like, yeah, but this is broccoli and you're Jacksonville, so you're going to give it to me. And the other kid's just like, you're right. I'm Jacksonville. You're the Ravens. Take my brownie. You get the delicious treat, and I'm going to suffer.
This is an amazing analogy, Tyler.
It really wasn't an analogy. It was just a story from my childhood of how I got fleeced out of a brownie. But anyways.
I believe it.
I'm just kidding. If you've seen me in real life, I've never been fleeced out of a brownie in my life.
Dude, you probably ate it before the other food. You probably ate the brownie once you got to school. You didn't even wait till lunchtime.
Anyways, let's talk about the scheme fit. You know, how does Calais Campbell fit in with these Baltimore Ravens specifically? I mean, this is such a dominant defense that we've seen here. Well, not dominant, but like, you know, they're top 5 in pass defense. They're top 5 in rush defense. They don't allow a lot of points. The couple areas that they kind of struggle in is they allow 4.4 yards per carry, which isn't terrible. And if you can cut that down more, then that's a benefit in my eyes. I think if you want to be a team that gets looked at as one of the best defenses in the league, you've got to be at like 3.9 or lower.
Yeah, and I mean, the Ravens, they were kind of looking to get bigger on the defensive line as well. They had not a whole lot of interior pass rush last season as well. They only had 4 sacks by their defensive linemen, which is the fewest in the league. So this season they brought in Brandon Williams, and they have Chris Wormley also there on the defensive line. So I mean, they did that. They got bigger on the defensive line, and I think that'll help with their run defense as well. I think that'll limit the yards per carry because running backs will have a harder time getting past that defensive line, past that first level.
Now, another thing that he's going to bring to this team is this isn't really like scheme fit, but the Baltimore Ravens spent 2 high draft picks, one in the first round, one later on day 2, on middle linebackers. I mean, obviously we're going to have Patrick Queen starting in the middle, and next to him is going to be Malik Harrison. And Campbell's going to provide a leadership aspect that the other guys on the team really aren't, in my opinion, aren't capable of doing. Like, Brandon Williams is a very good nose tackle, and Derek Wolfe, you know, has been a good defensive tackle coming over a defensive end in a 3-4 from the Broncos. Yeah, Matt Judon's still young and developing. You know, Pernell McPhee is, you know, he's a nice edge rusher, but none of these guys have like leadership qualities. And I think Campbell from day one is going to come on in, and he can show these rookies like how to be a better pro right away. and help them fix these mistakes, especially since he's going to be playing right in front of them. I think that's another piece that he's going to be able to help this Ravens team in.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great vocal leader. Like, you always see his mic'd up clips and stuff like that, where he's always talking. He's always getting on his teammates when they make mistakes and stuff like that. He's a great leader on and off the field. And I mean, his play backs it up as well. And I think we talked about in the Greg Olsen episode, Campbell has to be psyched at the chance to join a strong Super Bowl contender after being kind of stuck on, what I think about the Jags. And I mean, he did have a say in where he was traded to. He got to kind of choose a list of teams that he would be okay being traded to them. Some teams offered him a bigger extension, but at this point in his career, he wants a ring. He was quoted as saying, "My main goal is winning. I was more confident in going to Baltimore, even if I had to take less." So that tells you about his mindset. This dude just wants to win. And I mean, there's not a lot of teams that give him a better chance than that. He also likes that he likes their defense. Like, he likes that their defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, he likes to move people around on the line, create confusion. And I think Campbell's excited about playing for that defense.
Yeah, and I think he's just going to pair up really well with what they got going on there. I mean, ideally, he's going to have like Matt Judon over his left and, like I said, Brandon Williams to his right. And I think that he's going to have a lot of opportunities to either have mismatches against like teams like interior offensive line, or he's going to pull double teams, which is going to allow the pass rushers for the Ravens to get to the quarterback more. And when you have a guy that's this dominant up on that line that can eat up a block from, a right tackle and the right guard all at the same moment, and can let that edge rusher just peel around and just curl, it can do a lot for a team. I mean, it's kind of one of the reasons why Jacksonville was so successful in 2017 when he came over. And do not let his age like be a hindrance and a mark on him that you were kind of thinking negatively. Like, this guy can still play, he can still ball out. I mean, just last year, based on Pro Football Focus, he graded out as a 90.3. Like, that's insane. Like, not like there are like elite players that can get to like 88, 89. They don't touch 90s. 90 is like for having just a top-notch season at both as a pass rusher and a run stuffer. I mean, he had 41 solo tackles last year as a defensive end.
Yeah, and I mean, people will point to his sack numbers and say that his production has gone down, but if you look at like more in-depth stats, he was ranked the 4th best in the league in pass rush win rate. That means he was beating his guy at a high rate, at the 4th best rate in the league. So he's still getting pressure. He's getting in the quarterback's face, and that you don't always make the sack. Sometimes you get just enough pressure for the quarterback to make a bad throw, or for someone else to sack him. So he's still producing at a high rate.
Yeah, and Pro Football Focus named him the run defender of the year. So that's another aspect that we're not seeing. Like, he's beating his block that he's getting stuffed on, right? They're trying to stuff him, and he's getting to the running back. I mean, his numbers might be down, but it's weird because he's a defensive tackle to me. And 3-4 formations aren't like my favorite. I prefer a traditional 4-3 that can develop into so many different things in my eyes. But 6 sacks from a guy, he was 33 last year. He turned 33 at the beginning of the season. I like those numbers. That's not elite, obviously, but that's still production. And you're not going to get that a lot of places. I mean, that's still tied for 14th in the league last year. So Jacksonville traded away and lost so much talent from that AFC Championship team in 2017. Of course, Campbell wasn't going to be able to perform as much because he's drawing all the double teams and nobody on the opposite side can actually get to the quarterback because they're not talented enough. Outside of Yannick, and we already know what's happening there. I mean, Yannick literally was such a hot commodity going into the 2020 offseason for teams to try and trade for. And the reason why he looked so good was because of guys like Calais Campbell. It's simple as that. And, when you're 6'8", 300 pounds, not only do you draw a lot of eyes and attention to you that way, but when you play and can eat up these double teams and can dominate the running backs, that just says a lot more too. Like, he looks big, he plays big, he's efficient when he's out there.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. He'll be able to eat up those double teams, and that's just gonna free up the other Ravens defenders. It's gonna allow them to blitz less. Last year, a lot of their sacks, a lot of their pressure came off of blitzes. That's gonna allow them to blitz less and make them more effective in coverage as well.
I mean, the Ravens' interior pass rushes last year only had 4 sacks, which by their defensive linemen, which was the fewest in the league.
Yeah, so I think if we're talking, tell me what you think about like his impact, short term, long term? What do you think he's gonna do there at this season or going forward? Like, what do you think his impact is going to be?
So everything that we've been saying here is going to impact short term. I think, I mean, this is a 14-2 Ravens team that was top 5 in both defensive positions, including points allowed, and I think what it's going to do is he's going to have a huge impact in getting sacks from the defensive line. And when he's getting so much pressure on the offensive line, opposing offensive lines, it's going to free up and it's going to make other players look better. Like, his impact literally might not be on the stat sheet, kind of like what we were talking about with Greg Olsen, because these vets come in and they do so much more than stat sheets actually show. And I think his impact is that he is going to be such a dominating force on that interior defensive line that it's going to make everybody around him look better.
Yeah, I agree. I think he comes in, not only is he a great veteran, a great leader on and off the field, I mean, he comes in, he immediately fixes a position of need on the defensive line. I mean, you saw they got torn up by Derrick Henry in the AFC divisional round, and they saw what happened. They said, we got to fix this, and that's exactly what they did. Their defense was already really good, got even better. I think they'll remain very strong Super Bowl contenders. In terms of long-term effect, I don't know if he'll really have. I think he'll retire after his contract is done anyways, so I don't really see him having an effect longer than this season and next season. But it should be interesting to see, because maybe he keeps up his play at a high level and he feels good enough and he wants to come back and play for another team or re-sign with the Ravens. But I don't really see that happening.
Yeah, I think for long-term impact is that it's really going to come down to how well he can help. I mean, they just drafted that defensive tackle out of Texas A&M this past year. What's his name? Justin Madubuike. If he can help develop him going into year 2 or 3, pretty much year 3, to become a starter, I think that will help along the way, long-term impact. But I mean, if he can play 2 years, that's realistically, Super Bowl windows for teams don't open for a long time.
Unless you're the Patriots, yeah.
Yeah, there's obviously asterisks to this stuff, but the Baltimore Ravens team, the window is right now. And I believe that the window is going to be open till 2022. And the window is going to slowly close. It's not saying this Ravens team, if you're a Ravens fan, I'm not bashing your team, but what I mean by Super Bowl window is you can look at teams that play at a high elite level and you're like, all right, they're either going to get it this year or next year, maybe the third year. I mean, look at the St. Louis Rams from 2 years ago, and then look at them last year. And now look at them going into this year. I've seen so many people predict them to go like 7-9. Like, they were just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. That's my point. Your window is so small to be a team that can step in and automatically be one of the favorites to go to the Super Bowl. And I think with the Kansas City Chiefs having such a dominant offense, I think getting somebody in like Campbell to disrupt that offensive line, maybe cause pressure on Patrick Mahomes. Like, even though Mahomes is creative and can do a lot out of the pocket and on the move, I think those highlight plays aren't as common as people think. And if you can pressure a quarterback enough, they're going to make a mistake. And that's what Campbell's here to do. He's here to hurt Big Ben. He's here to disrupt Baker Mayfield. And he's here to ruin the beginning of Joe Burrow's career. That's the whole point of Campbell right now, to make those three guys' lives difficult.
I was gonna say, talk to me about predictions. What do you think, like numbers wise? What do you think he's gonna do this year?
I don't see a reason why his sack numbers won't be about the same. I would like to say take his exact statistics from 2019 and just copy and paste to this year. I mean, about 40 plus tackles on his own solo, probably about a dozen assisted tackles, anywhere from 6+ sacks, a couple forced fumbles. But really, the best prediction is that this Ravens defense on rushing yards allowed per attempt is going to go down from 4.4, and it's going to be closer to 4 yards a carry. And I think that is the biggest prediction that we can make.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you completely. I think the numbers, the effect that we'll see on the numbers won't be on his stats necessarily, but on the other players' stats. I think we'll see, even look at how many cornerback blitzes they draw up. That'll significantly drop. So I think you're going to see the effect he has is going to be more on other players' stats, like those outside linebackers, those edge rushers. I think personally he'll retire if they win a ring this year. Even if they don't win a ring this year or next year, I think he's done after next year. I think he's had a very long, very successful career, and I think he'll be ready to throw in the towel.
I kind of disagree with you on that. If they win, he'll retire, because I mean, 15 million on age 35 is a pretty nice cap to hit, and like worst case scenario for him, his play completely drops off the mat at that time, and I think that he can still make some money there. So for me personally, I think that he is going to finish out this contract and then be done. But either way, he's going to. I just predict that he's going to have a very nice short term there. I mean, because remember, if they cut him, like he has 20 million guaranteed for this year and next year. So, in my opinion, if I'm him, I just stay on as long as possible and just ride this out. Make 25 million over the next 2 years. Hopefully, get a ring, and ride off in the sunset. And we're seeing a player that, has been underappreciated for such a long time. And Baltimore Raven fans, I'm telling you, appreciate this guy now, because he is going to help your team in so many ways that you're not even going to understand.
Yeah, I agree. I think they really got to steal just giving up that backup kicker for him, and I think he'll help them out. I mean, as a Titans fan, I hope he doesn't help them out, but I mean, we got to be realistic here.
And that's going to do it for us here on Second and Short. Thank you guys for tuning on in to our new edition episode of Calais Campbell to the Baltimore Ravens. If you guys like our content here, be sure to check out previous episodes. We have several other episodes, like 9 other ones, and we're going to be covering so many more throughout the summer. Like, we are here to provide you guys, a unique take on, these NFL players that you're not going to see from, it's not a plain Jane thing you see on these networks. On top of that, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on everything. Click that notification bell. That way, every time we post an episode, which is every Monday and Thursday, you're going to get to know about it just in case you're not paying attention. Hit that like button if you like what we're doing, and leave a comment down below for more details on what you like, or even better, tell us what you didn't like, and we'll fix it. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, also be sure to check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, interacting with people there. Instagram, we're posting more than just episodes. We got to post every day, usually some news update or discussion bit. So check us out there. Tell us what you think as well.
Yeah, and be on the lookout. Twitter is coming very soon.
It's coming. I can see it like poking its head around the corner.
And that's going to be it for us. So thank you guys very much, and you guys have a great night.